on your side. This is News 3 Saturday morning.
Good morning and welcome into News 3 Saturday morning. I'm Hannah James. We begin this morning in East Alabama, where a Lee County judge has denied bond for one Auburn mother who allegedly drowned her emaciated son last week. The decision came Friday, 2 days after Kelly Watford claimed in open court the child died from a reaction to vapor rub. Watford had an Anias hearing earlier this week. Her defense team demanded no cameras be allowed during that hearing. Reporters were allowed to take notes, however. Judge Russell Bush said pictures of the child, Sullivan Watford, taken by Auburn police shortly after his death, are like nothing he has ever seen outside of documentaries about the Holocaust. Now the 47-year-old woman, who was also a licensed counselor and worked for East Alabama Mental Health, remains behind bars. The 6-year-old son she's accused of murdering weighed just 21 pounds at the time of his death. Prosecutors say she is a danger to the public. It was revealed in court she lost custody of her other 6 children. The child's father, Mark Watford, is also charged with aggravated child abuse. To Troup County now, the LaGrange City Council raised the starting salary of its police officers significantly. While this is good news for the department, Troup County Sheriff's Office is also seeking pay raises to close the gap for their officers. WRBL's Christina Feliciano has the story. In Muskogee County, an elections board meeting was held Friday morning to certify Tuesday's special election for the vacant Muskogee County School Board District 7 seat. Tuesday's unofficial total saw a narrow 2-vote margin of victory for Pat Frey over Lakita Ash. An unprecedented situation led to Friday's recount. The losing candidate, Ash, requested a recount. In order for a recount to occur, there must be a discrepancy or error. That was not the case in Tuesday's special election, but a recount was conducted. WRBL's Kinsey Beach has more. The recount was done just as the ballots were read on Election Day or early voting. The law does not allow for a recount to be done by hand unless there is a discrepancy in the recount. All paper ballots were scanned. Earlier this week, Governor Brian Kemp announced 400 new jobs and a $206 million investment for Columbus. The Pratt & Whitney announcement was made in Paris, France. WRBL's Chuck Williams files this follow-up report. For more headlines like these, be sure to download our news app and don't forget to turn on the notifications. You don't want to miss important alerts about breaking news. Well, it's great to have you here with us on News 3. Weather forecaster Kaylee Barbie joining us now with the wake-up forecast. Kaylee, the sun was shining this morning.
It was, Hannah, and it is still absolutely beautiful outside out across our live camera on Opelika this morning.
Turning now to East Alabama, where a downtown Auburn bar owner was found not guilty this week in a new trial awarded on appeal for his earlier misdemeanor sexual misconduct conviction. An Auburn city judge in the bench trial found Skybar's co-owner, Pat Grider, guilty of misdemeanor sexual misconduct against an employee in May of 2022. Grider appealed that conviction and got a new trial, which resulted in a not guilty verdict by a Lee County jury. He's now suing his female accuser, the Auburn police detective who worked the case, and the city of Auburn. The suit alleges several violations, including a claim the city of Auburn improperly notified the community he was a registered sex offender. The alleged incident happened in January of 2022. Davis Whittlesey, Grider's attorney, released this statement to WRBL saying, quote, Judge Jim McLaughlin found Pat guilty in the absence of any evidence and my very firm opinion. He is not a sex offender, but he did, out of an abundance of caution, register with the city of Auburn as if he were a convicted sex offender, because if you are wrong in the interpretation of the law, he is subject to the prosecution of a felony, end quote. For more information, head to WRBL.com. Returning now to Columbus, where the police department took to Twitter this morning to share information on 2 separate shootings. Police report there is a shooting investigation underway on Matthews Street this morning. The scene was cordoned off around 6:20. No word yet on any possible injuries. CPD also confirms one person was injured in a separate Friday shooting in the area of 33rd Street and 7th Avenue. So be sure to stay with us on air and online as we continue to gather more information. Well, staying in Columbus, WRBL has learned a prominent director for multiple radio stations in the Fountain City has been arrested. Michael Muhammad, also known as Michael Soul, was arrested on harassment and domestic violence charges. That's according to the Russell County Sheriff's Office. Muhammad is a Davis Broadcasting DJ with Fox C105, K92.7, and others. He's also the president of the River Valley Black Chamber of Commerce. WRBL News 3 will keep you updated on this developing story. Well, we want to thank you so much for trusting us here on News 3 Saturday morning. Coming up, we'll head over to the Civic Center as the Lions host Capital City. Sports Director Jack Patterson has those highlights next, but first we're going to check back in with Kaylee. Well, it was another busy Friday night with the Columbus Lions and Columbus Chattahoochee both in action. Sports Director Jack Patterson has the highlights in this morning's Eye on Sports. Meanwhile, a historical church in Richland has been reduced to ashes following a fire that destroyed the 186-year-old building. Officials believe a lightning strike may be the cause of the blaze. Red Hill Christian Church had been standing since 1837 before it burned to the ground. Video of the scene shows almost nothing left standing. Authorities with Stewart County Fire and EMS say it's possible the church was struck by lightning, which may have caused the fire. At this time, there's no word on whether there are any injuries. Well, we're glad to have you here with us this morning on News 3. The time is now 8:24 Eastern, 7:24 Central. Good morning and welcome back to News 3 Saturday morning. We're taking a live look now at our nation's capital, where the time is 8:28 Eastern, 7:28 Central. Well, today marks 1 year since the Supreme Court changed the landscape for abortion access in America. The ruling overturning Roe v. Wade upended 49 years of precedent and led to a checkerboard of new laws around the country. Keeping our eye on Georgia, the Georgia Emergency Management Agency says the Peach State has already spent $87 million because of severe weather damage in the first half of the year. For the past 4 decades, GEMA has coordinated the state's response to recovery efforts for disasters like hurricanes or storms. The agency works with local, state, and federal partners and faith-based organizations to respond and dispatch crews. Hurricane season just kicked off this month and will last for several months. GEMA says to protect your family from a hurricane or tornado, hide in a room without windows at the bottom level of your home or in a bathtub. GEMA says have an emergency kit ready with non-perishable foods, a can opener, flashlights, plenty of batteries, and water bottles for 3 days just in case. Over in Alabama, Montgomery County Circuit Court Judge James Anderson officially halted Alabama's medical cannabis license rollout. This comes after a company whose application was denied sued the commission this week, alleging the process was, quote, clouded in secrecy, end quote. The commission imposed a stay on itself last week, but lawyers for the company, Alabama Always, say that wasn't properly authorized. State Capitol reporter Maddie Bierntipple has more from the courthouse. Well, we want to thank you so much for trusting News 3 Saturday morning as your choice for weekend news. Coming up after the break, the Georgia Police and Fire games have been going on all week, and today the community is invited out to be a part of all the fun. We'll tell you where to go, plus what's in store for tomorrow's event forecast as well. I'll go ahead and give you a hint. It's all about the least recognized fruit. The 39th annual Georgia Police and Fire Games continue, bringing first responders from around the state to Columbus. Thursday marked day 4 of the week-long competition. The competitors went from a firing range to a bowling alley and also a golf course. More than 700 first responders came to the Fountain City this week. The Police and Fire Games serve as an outlet for public safety workers across the U.S. to have some fun and disconnect from their day-to-day responsibilities. Today wraps up their week-long event. Bring the family out today for the motorcycle rodeo to watch motorcycle units put their skills to the test. There will also be a red and blue community 5K, softball tournament, K9 competition and demonstrations, and the Touch a Truck public safety showcase. All of these things kicked off at 8 a.m. However, they are still going on right now. So be sure to head out to all those locations you see right there on the bottom of your screen to get involved. Well, Kaylee, for those planning on going out and getting involved, what kind of weather will they be looking at?
Well, Hannah, I've got some good news for you. Today is going to be absolutely gorgeous outside. We've got sunny conditions the entire day.
All right. Thank you so much, Kaylee. Coming up tomorrow, the Food Mill Columbus will host their second annual Mater Media Street Festival. The event is completely free for the public and it will be held at Mercy Med Farm on 2nd Avenue tomorrow from 3 to 7. There will be family-friendly activities for all coming up tomorrow. Anna Sims, Communications Director for the Food Mill, shares the mission behind the Mater Mania Street Festival.
At the Food Mill, we're really focused on programs that reduce barriers to nutrition security in our community and just making sure that everybody has access to local healthy food. And we do that through several different programs. And so this fundraiser, this festival is actually a fundraiser to support our mission here at the Food Mill. So come on out and support our work.
More information about the festival and how to enter the tomato competition can be found on our website. That's WRBL.com. Well, News 3 doesn't stop there. Coming up after the break, the nation has tuned into the search mission for the Titanic explorer. We'll have the updates in just 2 minutes. As a search and rescue effort for the missing submersible turns to a recovery operation, the 5 people on board who wanted to see the Titanic are being remembered. Christina Hager has the latest from Boston. Well, Kaylee joining us now with a final look at that forecast. Kaylee, what does it look like for those of us heading out the door right now?
Hannah, it's going to be absolutely gorgeous.
We also want to thank you all for joining us here on News 3 Saturday morning. We'll see you right back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 8, 7 Central. Until then, we hope you have a great rest of your day.